The United Nations says it's concerned over the interim Ukrainian government's use of military helicopters bearing its signature in military operations. They were used during the operation in Donetsk region, which is defying Kiev's authority and proclaimed independence following a referendum. At least 6 paratroopers were killed in the fighting in the city of Kramatorsk, with casualties also reported among the self-defense. RT's Irina Galushka is in the region.
There is a video that was filmed by the crew of the Live News channel, which allegedly shows one of the 3 helicopters involved in the incident around Kramatorsk, and it bears a UN insignia. RT has contacted the United Nations for comment and have gotten a response. Now, according to the organization, the country that has the equipment that has the UN insignia on it is supposed to strip it after the equipment is no longer involved in an official UN mission. Moreover, using the UN identifiers is only allowed on such mission, and the crackdown in Ukraine isn't. And now the Live News crew that has filmed the helicopters earlier came under attack from the National Guard and the Ukrainian army troops. They were caught in the gunfire seemingly when the fighting was over. Luckily, no one was hurt in that incident, and we have contacted the Live News correspondent.
When the military vehicles were gone, we tried to enter the village to see if there were casualties among the locals and if anyone needed help. But when we got close, we came across an APC with a Ukrainian flag on it and armed people dressed in black. We were in a car with a sign TV on it, but they started shooting in our direction. We turned around and drove to safety in order not to provoke them. Locals are in horror. They cannot get home. Many took shelter in the basements of their homes. There was indiscriminate shooting, and many bullets hit windows, so it was impossible to hide from them in the house itself.
This is far from being the first incident involving a journalist working in the eastern Ukraine. Unfortunately, a journalist working for RT's own video agency, Rupley, has been caught in a crossfire just last week. He was severely wounded in the stomach while filming a storming by the Ukrainian army of the police headquarters. He was wearing a bulletproof vest. However, the journalist believes that there was absolutely no way that he could have been mistaken for a combatant. Nevertheless, he was shot, and Kiev authorities would not allow a medical evacuation plane to land in order to transport him for treatment for 3 days. RT has sounded the alarm with international journalism watchdogs over the situation in Ukraine, which becomes increasingly more dangerous for journalists. European Federation of Journalists has issued their condemnation, saying that absolutely no violence should be used against people who are only armed with cameras, and that reinforces a previous statement made in relation to the situation with journalists in Ukraine.
We are gravely concerned that journalists have become overt targets for the principal factions in the current crisis in Ukraine. Journalists representing outlets from various countries, including the United States and Russia, have been detained or denied entry visas, while others have been threatened and beaten. Reporters for international outlets are treated as intruders, and even Ukrainian journalists are abused as traitors or commodities in kidnap-for-profit schemes.
Now, even though the self-defense troops have already said that they're ready to lay down arms if Ukrainian army leaves the region, however, Kiev authorities are insisting that what's happening here is an anti-terrorism operation and have so far refused to withdraw their troops.